Greetings from the dark side of Phobos. I'm Scythe, and here's the patch notes for 1.1 of Chaos Lite. Okay, so a lot of changes in this patch are going to be due to, like, the feedback I've gotten. I didn't choose to change everything that I saw, or read up on, or whatever. It's just what I felt like should have been changed. And I held nobody responsible for why I've changed certain things. Alright, before we totally get into everything, I just want to thank Silent One and Ultraviolence for promoting Chaos Lite. You guys are pretty awesome. I don't know why, but I'm like not 100% here today. So if things seem weird, then it's all my fault. But we should get started. Alright, generally everything in this patch has been technically listed in the changelog, but I want to go over like certain things like I usually do. But first, I've changed most of the Chaos Lite monsters, aka my more original monsters, attack odds, so they're more aggressive. Namely this guy, because from what I saw of him, he was terrible. And yes, I complained about him a lot, mostly because he sucks, but now he shouldn't as much. His axes are a lot faster. He doesn't take as much pain chance. Yeah, and he spams his axes now a little bit. Also, his red axes actually have a really decent curve, but you can't really see it on this arena because this arena kind of sucks. I don't know why I chose it. Ow. Yeah, faster axes. They do a little bit more damage. His red axe is actually home properly. So I'm just gonna move on. Actually, he has a... Okay, there's some other improvements. Like he's now considered Revenant class instead of a Knight. His health was increased. His melee range was doubled, with his attack being increased slightly, so he's more aggressive at close range as well. So yeah, a lot of changes on him, mostly because of my observations, not because of somebody was like... Not because I was complaining. Well, I was more like complaining because he wouldn't throw his axes before, but now he does. So the other changes were kind of like just because. Which brings us to our next change. Major change, I mean. Legendary Succubus, speed increased. More aggressive. Reduce the casting times. Yeah, a lot of things are like... It's fast. Like, she's more aggressive now. Ow. Okay, a little bit too aggressive maybe, but at the same time, when we're legendaries, not as, like, super aggressive. The same changes were made to the Shadow Legendary Succubus at the same time. Okay, less aggressive changes, but her speed was increased. Anyway, moving on. Before I really continue, there's some alterations to the Poison Ivy Succubus attacks, mostly because they were kind of just spammy AoE attacks before, but now it's just like she has direct attacks as well. I'm not going to show it because pretty much the legendary succubus also kind of gave a little demonstration of that. The poison also was kind of super buffed, because poison doesn't really affect you when you have a gold rune. So moving on. Alright, our next change is going to be with the Spirit Imp. Now, there was some crashing involved with him, but I can't exactly find how that's really affecting things. So, I'm going to keep looking into it, but for now, the following changes have been added to him. He has effects to increase his visibility if he's alive, because you can't really tell if he's alive in this state if he doesn't really have the effects. His attacks were made more aggressive, kind of to differentiate him from the original. He still has his homing attacks, although he has a straightforward, basically flame attack. And his drops were reduced. Alright, not much has changed with the Shadow Satyr. Okay, his melee may need some work still, but the lunge damage was increased. He now can do a 1-2 attack instead of 1-2-3-4. Although you can still do the 1-2-3-4 thing. He just has the option of doing a 1-2 now. Alright, Infection Fiend. Not entirely 100% really sure on what his changes entirely could be still, so I just increase his speed. And his overall damage. So yeah, he's faster, a little bit more dangerous to deal with. And that's it. Actually, while we're still here, Blue Cathar only takes half damage from explosions. Again, that was mainly based on visual feedback, and it's like, but they're supposed to not take damage from explosions. Yeah, but originally I was gonna have them not have that resistance, but then I was like, no, I'm changing my mind. So yeah, they only take half damage. As another thing, and for our final change, we're obviously adding, she's also a part of the disable Tahu option in the CF options. I'm not going to go through that because it should be straightforward. That option is now. I wanted to kind of add a disable experimental enemies option in the Chaos Lite options. Why was I going to abbreviate that? That wouldn't have made any sense. In case, you know, I throw in some unfinished monsters and want to, like, have more people test them, etc. But there would only be one monster in that right now, and that would be the Spirit Imp. Of course, I didn't actually add that option, so I also kind of wanted to also throw in another option regarding, like, disabling spawn limitations on monsters who use spawning tokens. Now, not much changed with why don't you take pain? Yeah, not much has really changed since the preview. I think I've changed some of her attack odds a little bit, There's actually a story behind the pain sound in the melee attack. That story being, if she stopped being super aggressive for a moment. That is, kind of like... why can't I think about this right now? Kind of like... Okay, when I was actually writing out everything, I accidentally forgot to, like, make a state change at the end of the melee. So it would go into her pain state. So it would be like making that sound every time, and then when I actually corrected it, it just didn't work as well. So that's why when she melee strikes you, it makes that the default pain sound. If that makes any sense. That's it for this notes. I know it took me like 20-ish minutes, but given taking the whole times I had to like restart some certain sections and go over a few things, but yeah. The patch should be available below in the description. The feedback will also be allowed in the comments for this.